What's up, Honey Badger Nation? This is John Kitchens, and man, welcome to episode 126 of Expert Mentors Live. Man, I'm excited. I get to hang with you guys today, and hopefully bring you a ton of value, especially as it pertains to the strategic planning process. This is the process that we've actually followed with our brokerages, NAEA, the coaching organization. You know, when we were bumping, 10 million in revenue. I mean, this is the same process that we used when we were, selling, 400 homes. It is the process. And if you really want to maximize your plan and help you gain greater clarity, pushing into 21 and beyond, hopefully you'll take some notes and maybe borrow and apply what I'm going to be sharing with you guys today. First and foremost, though, I do want to I want to jump into our 8 stages, because I think what's really important for all of you to understand, and when we look at kind of the situation, current reality, is looking at where we are at. This is really, really important to get a snapshot, an idea, and these 8 stages were identified over 10 plus years of working with agents and teams, helping them grow and build their business, and identifying, knowing what their problems are or what the upcoming problems are going to be. And it's the same thing that we went through, and so there's a lot of similarities and things that apply here. A couple things that are that are not on here that I really want you to get. And if you've got a notepad, you might want to write these down as we kind of talk through. If not, go back and watch the recording with the notepad, because this is going to be really important for you to understand if you're within these stages of kind of, okay, hey, this is where I need to be giving my attention, my focus, and that's going to help me jump to the next stages if I want to. Now, one of the key things that you have to get clear on first is, what is your goal? Okay. Not everybody has aspirations to build a large organization, build a large business, right? And so what we've identified and seen over the years, that there's 2 ways to go. You can go the producer model, or you can go the business model. Producer model, so much more profitable. You're going to stack cash. It's just, you're going to have more flexibility with cash if you're in the producer model. That's you still hustling in the business, doing deals. Business model is the transition of getting you out of the business for whatever reason, for whatever that you want to pursue, whatever that looks like. So keep in mind, there's certain fundamental principles that apply where you're at. But first and foremost, it all depends on your goal. Now, you look at stages 1 and 2, the solopreneur and the seeker. Your main focus here is getting traction and getting to 100K in revenue. Some of you can do that in the solopreneur based upon your average sales price. Some can't. So you have to kind of get a gauge. So kind of grouping in that 1 and 2, the solopreneur and the seeker, your main objective here is to get profitable sales and get traction, get to 100,000 in that revenue. Then the next group of stages are our grower, our hustler, our entrepreneur stages. That's really about expansion. Okay. That's about getting from 100K in revenue to $1 million in revenue. And really what you're focused and committed on right here is a predictable selling system. You've got some predictability in your business, and that's your main focus, right? What do we do? What are our oil wells that are predictable, that are going to allow us to have some consistency, some predictability in our business? And your team size, 3 to 10, as you can kind of see, 1 assistant there, grower, all the way up to entrepreneur, about 9. So 3 to 10 is the ideal team size. Now, if you want to make the jump and get beyond $1 million in revenue, you have aspirations, large organization, 300 plus units. If that's the goal, then you're looking for optimization. This is where you're focused on standard operating procedures, document it, and you're really, really at that point that you're preparing to get out of the business. Now, we have that 8 stage there that is the icon stage. And at that icon stage, there's a couple things that need to change here. You don't have to do 300 transactions. You don't have to have a team of 12. But what I want you to look at what it feels like. And the overarching theme of this whole document here of the 8 stages, right? We hear, man, it's about the results. It's about being productive. Guys, productivity is not the goal. No matter if you're choosing a business goal or a producer goal, the goal is freedom. So what I want you to write on this is at the very top, I just want you to write freedom. And over here on the icon stage, I want you to circle that because that's the goal. No matter if you go it through the producer route, you go through the business route, you go through any which way, all of the above, the goal is freedom. Okay. You guys can't lose sight of that. And so that's what we're working towards. Now, a couple more things before we jump in and I walk you through the annual strategy agenda is that, remember, we focus on sales, we focus on profit, we focus on order, we focus on impact, and then we focus on legacy. Right things, right order. Everything has a sequence. If you want to unlock freedom, you move in the prescribed direction. 0 to $1 million, guys, in revenue, it's all about cash, right? Because growth sucks cash. We have to really be paying attention as we're growing and we're focused on cash, okay? Beyond that, it gets to profitability. We're focused on just making profit with our time, profit with our service. And then it's about people and processes. Now, can you, is it could it be under $1 million and that kind of change? Yes. So let me go back to those 5 things that I just shared. 1, we got to have predictable selling systems in our business. If we don't have that, that's got to be your main priority, right? So when we're talking about, hey, what is the priority? Priority means what's the one thing, and we get convoluted because we got to have priorities, which is bullshit. We got to have a priority. What is the one thing? And the one thing when we've got to nail first is a predictable selling system. Once we have that, what is the number one rule? What is the number one goal in business? Profit. Guys, you're in business to make a profit. Now, what you do with that profit is a whole nother conversation, but don't lose sight of what is important, right? Don't lose sight of the facts. Predictable selling system, profit, then order, okay? And what I mean by order is organizational efficiencies, not dependent upon you as the owner, okay? Starting to create some leverage. Some efficiencies are happening without you, okay? Predictable selling system, profit, structure, order, not dependent upon you as the leader, the owner. And then it gets to impact, okay? When we said, hey, it's profit, then what we're going to do about that profit, that's a whole nother conversation. So it's impact. And our impact is, what are we doing that's impacting our team, our clients, and our community beyond the transaction, right? What is that impact for you? And then like I said, the 5th one is moving to legacy. And legacy is creating your company is going to be permanent in the marketplace, in the community. And, I think we all want to get to that point, but we want to skip steps. And, skipping steps only presents the illusion of speed. You got to do right things, right order. Predictable selling system, profitability, structure, organization. What is the impact beyond the transaction? And then how is our company gonna live beyond you. And so, that I just want you to guys keep that in mind, as you're looking to grow your business, to grow your organization. And this applies. It doesn't matter, if you guys are selling real estate or if we're selling snow cones on the sidewalk. There's just principles that apply. There's functions that apply, and just keep this in mind. If you guys can get this, it's going to help you exponentially as you work to grow and build your business and build your organization. So cool. So hopefully you guys were able to capture that. If not, go back, re-listen to it, and go through. I believe the 8 stages should be in the documents in the files section inside of the Honey Badger Facebook group. And then also I will make sure this annual strategy agenda that I'm about to share with you guys right now is in there as well. So let me share another screen. Give me 2 seconds here. I'm going to switch that up. There. All right. Cool. So this is our annual strategy agenda. Like I said, it's one that we've been using for the last 10 years plus. Some modifications, some little tweaks to it. But this is the main thing that you want to make sure you go through. First and foremost, you gotta prepare, right? The better prepared you are, the better the experience, the better the timetable, the better that process is going to be for you. And so what we like to do is we like to schedule a pre-strategy dinner to where we get together and we share our accomplishments. So let me give you a couple of those questions, right, to think about. So a couple questions would be, what have you learned or relearned that you will carry into 2021? What are some of the recent major implementations and decisions that we made? And what are the accomplishments that we're proud of? So those are a couple of the questions that you want to have with your team. And if it's just you, still go through it, because as a competitive driving entrepreneur personality, you are going to you're not going to look at how far you've come. And what we have to remember is that we are always winning. And sometimes when it feels like we've been defeated, if you don't have a way to acknowledge and look and see how far up the mountain you've come, then you're going to get stuck and paralyzed, and you're going to view yourself as a failure. So you want to have those, you want to acknowledge them, and you want to get them out, you want to share, you want to talk about it. Next is we get into the situational analysis. And so from a situational perspective, we want to grasp on what's going on in the marketplace. We want to, look at kind of get an idea of the competition, not so much, they're the competition. It's just, hey, what are they doing? And you don't want to get hung up on that, because if you're only gauging what you're doing based upon what's going on within your industry, you have what we call tunnel vision. And you're going to only be able to, be able to grow in plus or minus 10% is all you're going to be able to have growth if you're tunnel vision and only paying attention to what's going on in your industry. Where you have the exponential growth is when you look at it through funnel vision, and you look at all the other industries. What are they doing? What's working? What can I model, right? What can I model and rip and deploy inside of my organization, my business, and become a fantastic modeler and modeling success. And more importantly, modeling success outside of your industry, so we can have exponential growth, not just a little bit of growth, but big growth. The other, taking a hard look at our people, self-assessment, going through our current people, and, running through a core value gauge, where are they at with our core values? And also, are they getting the job done? Do we have a clear agreement of success? How are they performing? And, a real hard look at, if, we've all heard the question, right? Would we enthusiastically rehire them? But maybe a better question is, if they walked into your office and turned in their resignation letter, would you be relieved? And if the answer is yes, I would be relieved, then I think you know what you need to do. And so that might be one of the hard decisions, one of the hard conversations that you've got to have. And it needs to maybe move to the top of the list of what we need to do to move the organization forward. So people assessment, our services, whatever, buyers, sellers, investors, REO, property management, what are all of our services, and let's evaluate them. And, how are they looking? And then here's really what's really, really critical to the rest of your plan, especially the near future, the next 90 days, is your financial position. Okay. Are you in a financial position where you're at core capital, meaning do you have 2 months of cash in your operating account to cover your salaries and expenses, including what you pay yourself if you didn't close another deal? What's that burn rate? Well, if you don't know what your monthly break even is, including paying yourself, then that's where you need to start. You need to know that number. And so, for example, if it costs you $25,000 a month, paying yourself, your team, salaries, expenses, marketing, facilities, communication, then I need to have $50K cash in the operating account for the business. Then I'm in a good core capital position. Some could argue, 3 months. Whatever that threshold, that comfort level for you is, but a minimum of 2 months is where you need to be. Because here's the reality. If you're less than 2 months, you're going to have to be very tactical. If you are more than 2 months, you can be a little more strategic. You can be a little more creative. You can make decisions to do things that have a longer cash conversion cycle. Cash conversion cycle, you put money out before money comes in, and you're at break even on that investment. Online lead gen, right? You could spend, $5,000 before you get a paycheck coming in. Longer term, right? We used to say people that ran radio and the high ticket, ticket activities, you're going to be spending $4,000 or $5,000 a month. It could be 10 months before you get to break even. And then from there, it's all profit after that. But can you hold your breath for 10 months? Do you have the reserves to be able to do that? So understanding cash conversion, knowing your financial position, and then knowing what you're going to be able to say yes to. Once we got a really good grasp of our situational analysis here, we move into introspective. And this is where we get into the lessons learned, right? And don't skip over this. Don't skip over accomplishments. Don't skip over your lessons learned. A couple really good questions on the lessons learned are, what did we not set up? What did we miss on? And what are the lessons that we've learned? Okay. What are the lessons that we've learned? What did we say we were going to do that we weren't able to do? And what caused us to veer off of course? We spent time, we made a decision that this was going to be our priority, our one thing, and we didn't do it. Well, what happened? How come that didn't happen? And you want to uncover the behavior that delivered those results. Okay. And you could go back, our thinking, we were off. Our thinking was wrong. We didn't really take into consideration we were in as bad of a financial position as we were. We were in too good of a financial position. We coasted. We got lazy. Whatever the case is, you want to uncover it. Remember, what we reveal, we can heal. And that's all we're trying to do here, guys. We're trying to reveal, heal, move on. I shared the number one goal in business is to make a profit. And that's from Vern Harnish's number one book recommendation called The Goal by Eli Goldratt. And it's all about systems thinking. And what the whole understanding of our business is that there's always a constraint. There's always a challenge. There's always a choke point. And you as the leader in your team has to be bought into, where is the constraint? Where is the choke point? And then what do we need to do to move it? There will always be a choke point. And so the greater visibility you have into your organization, the better tracking you have, the better result measurements, the better just overall visibility, the faster you can see the constraint, the faster you can fix it, the faster you can move. So that might be one of the things, right? Hey, we've got a really good predictable selling system, but our profitability is not there. Well, let's get some visibility into your business and let's see where that constraint is. And then let's put our energy, let's make that the priority and let's move it. And it's going to move. And if you have visibility, you'll see where it moved to. And it's going to move again, and it's going to move again. But that's what happens when we're growing our business. So lessons learned, critical issues, how do we do X given Y? How do we increase clients when we have no money? How do we, increase conversion? How do we increase headcount when we can't get anybody to fill out an application? Just whatever the X and Y's are. This is just a really good thinking exercise to make you think possibly where the problem is, right? I don't have how do we increase conversion when it's just me trying to convert? Maybe there's a who that we need to go get. And a lot of it's just going to flush out. It's going to come to who do I need to help me move this business forward? So, not trying to lead the witness, but a lot of your answers are going to need to come down to that. The next part of the introspective is get into SWOT. This is really, really important. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. This is where you lay it all out on the board. Get it all out on the table. And if you have a team, you need your team contributing to this, because as we continue to grow, and here's the thing, we all have blind spots. And our team has a different perspective. If you think everybody's on this bus, everybody has a viewpoint, a different vantage point where they're sitting on the bus. And so you need to value their input, their perspective. Hey, what are we really, really good at? What are our strengths? What do we suck at? Right? What are we absolutely terrible at? What are our opportunities that we have in front of us? And then what are some real threats that we need to be aware of so that 2x4 doesn't whack us across the head and, knock us out, right? That gut punch that knocks you out for, potentially for the count. So we need to be aware of what those threats are. So strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Intangible assets questionnaire. I'll show you that in just a second. Operational processes. You can kind of look at that. Some of the stuff you can just say, this is not important right now, and give yourself permission to move on. We get into the actual strategic plan. So here is the kind of a readiness assessment. This is really good to be able to look at and see, the strength of your organization, what you have, what you're good at, what you're not good at. So this is really, really, really good. Pre-strategy planning. Remember we talked about the prep. The better you can prepare, the better the overall process and experience is going to be for you and your team. And, these are accomplishments like we talked about. This helps with the situation analysis. So you look at kind of the market conditions. What have the changes been? And as we know, on a national scale, less homes have been selling every year since 2016. We peaked, but yet there's more agents in the business every year to where now last year on the national average was 4.1 homes sold per agent in 2019. What we're seeing from a forecasting perspective is that number is going to drop to 3.4 in 2020. So what does that tell you? More agents, less homes being sold. What are you doing to combat that? A lot of AFAs out there. So this is really good to go through. So there's your situational analysis. There's some, information that you want to pull to have to know kind of really what's going on in the market. Here's the competition breakdown that we talked about. We look at just kind of from a brokerage standpoint, who are the top brokerages? What are they doing? How are they increasing headcount? What's their offer? Right. So you got, what's their model? That's a great question. So most of you guys listening in here, EXP, you know the EXP business model, but what are the other models? What are they offering? What are the independents doing? What are the mom and pops doing? What's the new competition out there doing? What's KW offering? The ridiculous 100%. You're going to get profit share when there's no freaking profit share. If you're at 100%, how did they even keep the doors open? Like, do you know the models? Do you know what's going on out there? And so that's where this is kind of good to look, and making sure you're staying competitive inside of the marketplace. And I would rather add value than compromise price. And that's just my thinking. It's like, I'm not going to lower my fee, but yet how can I add more value? And it's just a different thinking process. In the absence of value, people question price. The reason they challenge you on your price is because they don't see the value. So how can you have that value to help with your predictable selling systems and helping, focus on profitability? So it all comes back to, where you're at in the 8 stages, what the main thing needs to be, and what are the things that you're adding into this. Getting a good look at your competition. What are they doing? What are they not doing? Like I said, I wouldn't get too hung up in it, but it's just a good awareness to know what they're doing, and just pay attention. Pay attention to what's going on. And this gets into the self-assessment, right? This gets into the people that we were talking about, and kind of going through, starting to look at, hey, we need some help. We might need some help in this area. I'll wrap that up with you guys in a second on, right things, right order to be able to go through product services, right? Our services, are we doing a net promoter score? Are we measuring our service to our clients on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being absolute? How likely are you to refer a friend, family member, or colleague to do business with us? For those of you that just attended the NAEA bootcamp, you should have got the survey. That's the number one question. Hey, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being absolute, how likely are you to refer NAEA bootcamp to a friend, family member, or colleague in the future? Boom. And that's your net promoter score. So being able to go through that. And then there's a math calculation how to formulate that. You can just Google net promoter score. There's a great book. I would get Net Promoters, NPS 2.0, really breaks it down. There's a lot of great science behind it. Once you understand it, you'll start to see it everywhere. AT&T does it. Apple does it. I mean, all the major corporations, the top Fortune, 100 companies, they all Net Promoter Score. They just use it. It's Bain and Associates did a study, and it's the only proven way to determine if somebody's actually going to repeat and refer and do business with you again in the future. So kind of going through, gauging that financial position. Here you go. Here's a layout of what you want to be looking at, to be able to lay out, kind of what the goal was, what was our actual, kind of where are things at, running through salary cap formula, looking at your business, the breakdown of your business. So this revenue breakdown here in the middle, guys. So this is an example. So this is some different revenue streams that we always gauged in our brokerage. Was company generated seller, company generated buyer, means those were the opportunities the company was paying for. What was the agent? What did they bring to the table? Buyers and sellers. Affiliates. What was your affiliate revenue? Duncan was a satellite office for us. It was kind of you want to say expansion office of us. It was about 40 minutes to the east of Lawton, and our marketing bled over in there, but it's a completely different MLS, completely different mindset. It's a good old boy network. And we were fortunate enough to find a badass rock star agent. She's still with the fellas up there to this day. She owns that market. And, so we paid attention to her revenue. REO, if you're doing REO, they're not doing REO right now. Does that mean that if the opportunity is there, will they do it in the future? Yeah. And then obviously the monster of short sale. If you're not doing it, don't do it. If you don't have to do it, don't do it. So those are just examples of what could be. You could be remodels, right? It could be rehabs, it could be investors, could be property management, whatever it is that you do that's an additional revenue stream. You want to take a look at it. And why that's important is that there's kind of a rule of thumb. If it's not growing and it's less than 10% of your overall revenue, the question has to be, do I need to continue to do this? I read a really good little tidbit from Ryan Holiday was sharing. So he's probably my favorite author, Ryan Holiday. Obstacle is the way, ego is the enemy, stillness is the key, and he's got a bunch of other things on stoicism, the Daily Stoic. But he shared in one of his newsletters was from Matthew McConaughey, and McConaughey said, man, I shut off two of my other ventures. I shut off 2 of my other revenue streams. I had 5. And he said, I had 5 Bs. And he said, I canceled 2 of them because I wanted 3 A's. And I was like, wow, that's powerful. And, his 3 A's that he wants to be the best at is, his family, his foundation, and his acting career. But then he had 2 other ventures that he was dabbling with, but it drug him down to be a B player in all 5. And so think about that. What's robbing you of your time? What's taking you away from the things that you want to be an A player at, but because you've said yes to so many things, it's bringing your average down. And man, that was just that really hit hard, right? And hopefully you guys get that, because that's really, really important. Sometimes we need to squeeze the juice and be an A instead of trying to do so much and bringing our average down to where, we're a C plus, B minus in everything. So it was just great. Really, really powerful. Salary cap. So if you guys are familiar with Greg Crabtree, if you're not, simple numbers, straight talk, big profits. If part of where you're at in the 8 stages is on profitability, then you've got to consume that book. And that was the game changer for us, because we had predictable selling systems, but we couldn't maximize and harvest profits the way that we should have been. And it's because we didn't understand the salary cap formula. And the salary cap is right there. It's revenue minus cost of sales, minus salaries, minus expenses will give you your pre-tax profit total. And, Greg breaks it down, gives the examples. He dumbs it down for entrepreneurs. And so I highly recommend that if maximizing profits is your one thing that, then what are all the ways to do that? Then you need to read that book, and you need to make sure your financials are set up in order to maximize those profits. And what we found is that we were out of whack with salaries. Our salary cap was too high. We also had some non-salary expenses. When we made those adjustments, we got into the salary cap range, and that's where we were able to really maximize profits. You want to grow cash? You're like, man, I got to grow my cash. Well, you got to grow your profitability. And so that's where you got to look, and that's how that works. Introspective, this, lessons learned, like we talked about, critical issues, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. This is so key to go through. If you have a team, independently, and then come together and collaborate. Opportunities, threats. This is a cool little exercise to where you can align your strengths with your opportunities, align your strengths to your threats, align your weaknesses to opportunities, and then weaknesses to threats. And you can kind of mirror them together. And what's kind of cool with the weaknesses and opportunities is that, how can we create leverage? Who can help us take advantage of this opportunity? See, it's a better question. It's not how am I going to take advantage of this opportunity? It's like, who can help us with it? Because it's not a strength of mine. But who has this strength that can help us take advantage of this opportunity? It's just a better question. You want to, change your questions, change your life. And it's just about asking better questions. And all thinking is, you want to up your thinking. You want to be a better thinker, ask better questions. And so instead of the question of how am I going to do this, which is not a good question. But a much better question is, who can help me with this? Or who can do this for us? Or who can we go get on the bus that can help us do this? See, I look at even like my pops' generation, right? There was a sense of pride in doing it all yourself. And that's just not the best thinking. That's not the best thinking to get the better return on your time. You want to impact your time. You want more time. That's what I hear from everybody, right? Man, I just want more time. You know how you get time? You go buy it. You go buy it. You invest in that time, in human capital, in other resources, other organizations to get that done for you, right? And it's it's the same damn thing. I told Jay when he still lived out in Aubrey, 7+ acres, and that dude, the first year he moved out there, mowing his damn yard, 7 acres. And he gave me all the bullshit excuses in the world. It's my therapy time. I get to get away. I'm like, dude, we can go to the Cowboys Club and we can get some therapy time hanging out together. Or you can spend all weekend on the damn riding mower for the entire summer, pretty much all year round here in Dallas. Or you can get somebody to do that shit for you. Your time is worth too damn much. He fought me, and then he's like, I ain't ever mowing that again. He didn't. He found somebody like $500 a month that would come in. I mean, Jay had all the equipment, but $500 a month. Think about that. What is your time worth? And you got to value that. And the very first thing that we want to get to is freedom of time, which will then give us freedom of wealth. And then will also help us impact the freedom of our relationships. And they all work together, guys. Don't fight it. Pride can hinder your growth because you think it's noble to do it all yourself. And that's just not true. So you move faster, you get into your lane, you do the things that you're the best at. Don't get stuck in doing the things that you're not the best at. I mean, I've shared this story many of times. I remember, one of the first go rounds working with Jay and Reedy, and we were trying to up our listing and our buyer and our recruiting presentations. And we were going to do that shit all ourselves. I had a case of beer after work, and we're going to figure this out. A beer in, I was like, this is the dumbest thing ever. Reedy, who do we know do you know anybody that can help us do this? And we did. We found somebody, $250. They built 3 bad to the bone presentations that we used for the next year and a half. And so you just got to change your questions. You got to look for who instead of, how am I going to do it? Because that'll just, that'll stop you. That's where the procrastination comes in. It's just, we have all these great ideas, but we just don't know how we're going to do it or how we're going to get it done. But just ask yourself a better question. So that's a great exercise. This is a really good, the intangible assets questionnaire that I was talking about. What are we good at? What are we not good at? And is this critical for our growth? This is really, really powerful because sometimes we see things that we're not good at and we think, oh, I got to improve on that. Well, is that important for us to getting to a predictable selling system? Is that important for us getting to profitability? Is that important for us to standard operating procedures, documentation, creating efficiencies that don't depend on me as the owner? Is that important for us, to have a bigger impact on our clients, our team, our community that goes beyond a transaction? Is this something that's going to allow us to be in the marketplace forever? So sometimes, improvement of strengths and weaknesses are not important because it's not critical to the overall outcome of what we're trying to achieve. So this just creates that great awareness. This is operational process questionnaire. So if you're at that point, man, hey, our efficiencies are off, our operations, hey, is this a strength or is this a weakness? It helps identify. So that's really, really good. And I don't know what that nonsense. Oh, this is the strategic plan. So it didn't come through. What I would say about the strategic plan is I would go through, if you're in stages 1 or 2 if you're in the traction stage, let's pull that back up for you guys. So if you are in the traction stage, which we said is the solopreneur, the seeker stage, I would go through our straight line strategic plan. It is pretty straightforward, pretty self-explanatory, pretty simple. You know what? Let me pull that up for you guys real quick. Man, if you guys are tuning in and actually paying attention to this, give me some thumbs up or something in the comments. Let me know that this is resonating. This is good. I know it's a lot. I'm moving fast, but that's why it's recorded, and you can go back to it. So let me pull up. I'm gonna pull up the straight line. Maybe there it is. So let me pull up the straight line strategic plan. So I'm going to go here. Okay. So if you're in, stages 1 and 2, and maybe I would say early on in the expansion in that stage 3, I would gravitate to this. And the reason I would say gravitate to this is just it's not as complex. It's just the simpler format. It's really straightforward. So from your agenda, you can put in your strengths, opportunities, weakness, and threats. The top two or three, squeeze it in there. What are the top ones? And then you can get into the vision, right? Your values, your purpose, your mission, and then transition into the goals, long term, BHAG, 3 to 5, 1 year. And then on your 1 year, what has to be true? So that's your key initiatives. So right there it says, hey, what are our 1 year key initiatives? And how you answer that is what has to be true for us on December 31st, 2021 to have accomplished our 1 year goals that are there on the right. And then the same thing, 3 to 5, and then BHAG, what has to be true? And that's what you want to put in those boxes. And that's how you ask yourself that question. Okay, so what has to be true for us if we want to, hey, we're at 30 transactions this year. We're going to triple. We're going to hit 100. Well, what has to be true for us to get to that point? And that's what goes in those boxes. And then the approved quarterly is, essentially what do you do in the next 90 days? And it's really, really important that you stay in those 90-day cycles of, what are the key things that have to happen for us to progress in this next 90 days. And really, it's the energy, our bodies, like we lose a lot beyond 90 days. So that's why we want to work in those 90-day compartments. Plus you collapse time, you collapse years by working in 90-day cycles. Once you have, if you're in those other stages, then what I would say is, let's see if I can get REEVTO. Yeah. Okay, cool. So this is the fellas. Hopefully they shouldn't mind me sharing this. Better to beg for forgiveness, ask permission. I would move to the VTO process. And the VTO process is right from the book Traction. So I would get your copy of Traction and answer the 8 questions. You can go to the Traction site. You can just Google VTO, Traction VTO, Vision Traction Organizer, and it'll pop up and you can get a copy. I mean, this is what we have right here. And it's, into a Google Doc. And, we make a copy and update this every quarter. So I would go through this process if you are in that 3 beyond stages. Like this process will serve you forever. But in the beginning, I would use that. Now, if you have agents on your team, I would have your agents do the straight line plan. And that way they have their roadmap. They have their blueprint to help them accomplish their goals, right? So you want to give that to them and you want to review it with them. You want to walk them through it. You want to make sure that they're there. One little asterisk, okay, is that this is a living document, meaning it grows as you grow. You're not going to be the same you are today 90 days from now. You're going to have a different perspective. You're going to have a different insight. So answer the question the best as you know it today. And that's why you go through it every 90 days, because we come back and we ask it again. We ask it again. We ask it again. The site is just Google Traction Gino Wickman, and just get a copy of this Traction Gino Wickman. I would listen to it on Audible as well as the hard copy, because it's a reference manual. It's one that you'll refer back to from now on. We were that way with Vern, with Mastering the Rockefeller Habits. We've adopted this process over the last probably 3 years. I like it much better. It's a lot easier. It's not as not as complicated as Vern's process. So I highly recommend this. And go through and answer the 8 question. What do we stand for? What are our shoulds and should nots? How do we behave? What are our values? What's our core focus, right? What is it? What's our 10-year target? What's our 3-year picture? Where do we want to be in 3 years? And so as you can see, this has come to an end. So when the guys are doing annual for 21 and beyond, they're going to reset this 3-year picture. And dang, it's crazy looking at this. They will be at, this year, they're a little shy of $1 million in revenue. They're at like 970, but yet their gross rev is higher. They are almost at 700,000 gross revenue. And that's the number that we were actually was a little bit lower, but we were trying to hit. But look at this. They threw this out there 3 years ago, and they damn near hit it almost to the exact number. It's crazy. Man, that's awesome. That's awesome. I haven't even caught that. So that's neat. I'm proud of them. So the 10-year target, I like this right here, is the marketing strategy, right? Answering this question, who's our target market? What are our 3 uniques, right? What makes us unique? Now, you're going to have the same thing that other agents in your marketplace have, but not everybody will have all 3. So like for them, strategic expert advice, proven process to buy or sell your home, and home sold guaranteed. That's their 3 uniques. Their proven processes are the certified home selling strategy and certified home buying strategy. All of you guys listening to this have access to that. That's some of your proven processes. They run the guarantee, and then they have a risk reversal, cancellation guarantee. And then you get into the 1 year, the rocks. And then what I really, really like about the VTO over everything is that this gets our issues out on the table. What is our issues list? So when we did this back in September, average dollar per transaction was a little bit was low. Speed of response was off. Lack of agents is off. No agent attraction strategy. And then they had no exit strategy. So that's kind of been the issue. So when you throw your issues out there, it's like creating the vision boards. And what happens when we throw those things out there? Reticular activator starts to fire. We start to ask those questions. We start to think of how we can solve them. And so that's why it's important to get that issues out there. And then document your core processes. So these are their core processes that they've got here. So VTO, and that's it, guys. I know it's a lot to handle, a lot to take in. And you guys would laugh if you saw the very first strategic process and plan that Kinder and I went through. You would laugh. I laugh at it. And I wish I could find a copy of it. I'm going to have to dig a little bit deeper in some archives. I think I might know where a copy might be, but it's just good to reflect. And what's awesome is that it gets better every time, right? Well, think about, for us, at least 4 times every year for the last 10 years. Now, I've been a part of multiple companies and going through the same process at the same time. So sometimes it's double. I would say probably 100 times over the last 10 years that I've gone through this process. So I know it backwards and forwards, but I didn't in the beginning. And that's what I can just stress to you guys. Like, start and just know that every time you go through it, you're going to gain more clarity and it's going to get better and better. One little pro tip is that less is more. You're going to put a truckload in the priorities section. I know our sweet spot. I got excited when we had 1. I felt pretty confident when we had 2. I lost faith when we had 3 or more. And it never fails. And where you're also going to run into some not getting things done that you say you want to get done is if it's all dependent upon you. That's why you have to ask the better question. Not how am I going to get this done, but who's going to get it done for me. So just be open to asking better questions. And, you don't have to figure this all out on your own, but it's achievable. As David Goggins likes to say, there is nothing in this world that's impossible anymore. And so it's just, we have to change our thinking. Tony Robbins, we've got to be more resourceful and get clear on what it is that you want to accomplish. Make sure it's important to you, and put the plan in place and go get it. So hopefully you guys found some serious value in today's episode of Expert Mentors Live. If you've got any questions, feedback, feel free to reach out. You can hit me up on Facebook Messenger directly. If you want to catch the replays, I haven't shared this with you guys yet, but if you want to catch all of the replays, you can go to EML, right? EML, which is Expert Mentors Live, EML replay.com. EMLreplay.com will take you to all 126 now episodes of Expert Mentors Live. Be able to go back into the archive and extract the wisdom and the gold that is in there. So I got a question. So we got a question in here. Can you give an example of things that you may have had on there that you no longer do? Not sure, like part of the process that we no longer do, or like an activity or something that we did that we no longer do. Expand upon that for me, just a little bit if you could. Agenda or actual activity that we no longer do. I think too, guys, on quarterly and too, like I said, if we've got a financial issue, if we've got a financial impact, we get real tactical. We know what it is, right? We're in the trenches. we're in the trenches. We're straight hustle mode. We're looking at, what we have. Are we squeezing all the juice out of what we have? Back to your comment about having too many things. So there was one time where we had about 6 or 7 priorities on there. And you look at, let me reshare this with you guys. So this is an example with Stace and Reedy. They had three rocks for this fourth quarter. Their ISA was transitioning out. They were looking to bring a new ISA in, onboard and train. So that became the main focus. Stace was taking that responsibility. Listing digital marketing strategy and execution was on Stace. They found a who, yet it didn't get executed to completion. Now there's a whole nother document that lines out what is success. And so, like, what is success for the ISA onboarding and training? When can we say that, man, that's done? So there's another document that goes into that. It's called the approved quarterly priorities. And you have to answer that question. We are successful when, and you smart it out. You make it specific, you make it measurable. Is it attainable? Is it relative to what we're trying to accomplish? What's the time bound? And is it easy to understand? Smart you. Listing digital marketing strategy and execution. They didn't get that done. Transit and courier. They had to get a new transit, which is the courier vehicle. Did they find a new courier? I think they're kind of in between, but they got the transit. They got it wrapped. Looks great. So they executed on that. So they fell a little short. Now, would they have been a little bit better to just say, hey, ISA and courier, because that was taking their time and they needed time back because they're both heavy in production? Probably, but they stretched a little bit. So you're going to find these things that you think, man, like we can do that. But you also have to remember what else is on your plate, right? If you're and truth be told, if your business is dependent upon your production, you got to take that into consideration. And if we follow the HLA rule, high leveraged activity rule, that means 70% of your working time has to be on your high leveraged activities. These are priorities. These don't fall into your HLA time. That's why it's key to get these things and get people to help you if it's not part of your high leveraged activity. So hopefully that made sense and helped clarify kind of the question. You get a little excited and you think you could do more and you think you can take it on and do more. And it goes back to my whole rant that you don't have to figure out how you're going to do it. You get somebody in there that does. As long as you take the time to get clear on what is success and why it's important that we accomplish this. So there's a whole process with the AQP process, approved quarterly priority process, that helps you answer those questions. Good question. Really good question. Thanks for having me clarify that. All right, y'all. Well, appreciate you guys. Like I said, ton of nuggets, ton of value here. And this is definitely one to go back and rewatch and help you with your planning process. And we will call that a wrap. Awesome. All right, guys. We'll see you guys on the next episode. Take care.